Well, folks, what a year it has been. I'm still out filming, as you can see right now, with the big Y62.
Holy heck.
A few bits and pieces changed on us.
Few bits and pieces, look at it.
We've got so many rigs and projects on the go right now, we thought we'd dedicate this Thursday to giving you a full rundown of all of them.
I'm a little bit quiet because I'm lost for words at the moment. Just to see it like this, it's absolutely amazing.
Including 2 new vehicles and all the major works that have been done to the Dirty 30.
You might see this thing behind me. It's my next upcoming project, so let's go and have a look, eh?
Now, I've just got back from a Glasshouse and Fraser trip. What's important about that is that for its very first run, its inaugural trip out, I took my brand new whip for a ride, and it was eventful to say the least. More about that in a second. Now, the boys and I, Sean, Jesse, Jock, we're all over the place at the moment. We've got builds, we're wheeling builds. Everything is happening toward the end of the year. So what I thought we'd do, slow down for a second and take a look at where everyone is at with their current builds, with their current four-wheel drives, what they've got planned and what is happening in everyone's shed at the moment. And I'm going to start with my new whip. Check this out. Well, this is an exciting day, not because I'm in the Glasshouse Mountains as much as I do love it out here, because for me, today represents new car day. Check this out. I have got my hands on a brand new 2022 DMAX. Now, before you ask the question, why have you purchased another DMAX? I've got several answers for you, but one of the main answers lies right there. Yep, that's my old DMAX. The camera crew, they have commandeered it and are going to be using that all of next year for the off-grid van show, and it makes a lot of sense. You've seen me drive them all around Australia. They are super reliable. Just like if you've got one brand in mind, you usually stick with it. For me, I'm sticking with the Isuzu because it works. Now, speaking of working, let me show you around this beastie. I'm in a very fortunate position where I can chop and change and try out different components within the four-wheel drive industry. So when Petters jumped up and said, hey, do you want to try out our new suspension on your DMAX? I thought, what have I got to lose? One of the biggest differences between this new DMAX and the old one is that we've added a GVM upgrade. The old DMAX was fine for most trips, but when I was loaded up for the Kimberley or Cape with extra water and diesel and gear, I reckon I was pushing the upper limit of the standard GVM. With what I'm planning on doing this year in this thing and the remote places we're going to be pushing into, I've decided to go a GVM upgrade. This Petters kit takes it from 2,950 kg all the way up to nearly 3,500 kg, which gives me 500 more kilograms of room to play with. All right, now this is super cool. So Petters have put their GVM upgrade suspension kit on this vehicle. So I've now got a GVM of 3450 on the DMAX, which means I've got a lot to play with. But how do I know I've got a lot to play with? I know because of this little gadget down here. We've fitted the Petters load rider system to this vehicle, which means that when I'm stopped with the handbrake on, I can tell exactly how much I've got over the front axle, how much I've got over the rear axle, my total, and how much I've got to play with. How cool is that? Underneath the DMAX. Give these vehicles an absolute pizzling. In fact, if you have a look at my old DMAX over there and check out the bash plates underneath, you'll see exactly what I mean, because these are brand new custom off-road bash plates. They go all the way back through there. Steno, they're thick, they don't bend, they don't break, they scratch, which is exactly what you want. Get these things scratched and not your vehicle. Now, for my favourite part, the old Mitts alloy canopy. Get a load of this. This side, of course, is the storage side, so she's pretty simple. One thing I haven't had for a little while, got installed in this thing, got an air compressor. So I'm good to go there. 12 volt up here with the C-Tech gear. I've got lights all through the canopy. This is the storage side. There's me swag. I'm back in the swag for this trip. Come around the other side, because what's happening over this side is pretty trick. Rightio. Passenger side of the Mitts canopy could be called the living room. We all spend a lot of time on this side of our four-wheel drives when we're at camp. On the shelf here, I've got coffee making stuff in here. I've got knives and forks and herbs and spices. But what I'm really frothing on showing you guys, actually, it's the little things that make a Mitts alloy canopy for me. Now, this here was designed so that you can open this drawer with one hand. I'll show you that again. You can open it with one hand. Just pop your hand in there and go like that, and she opens up. This, though, is where things have gotten just a little bit tricky. Mitts are always trying to improve on every product they have. As far as I'm concerned, this is such a tiny improvement but makes a huge difference. Inside this drawer, they've got these little dividers, and you can move the dividers so you can have big areas up the back, small areas down the front for knives and forks, whatever you want. I'm still getting used to it, so at the moment, a bit higgledy-piggledy in here, but these dividers are game-changing as far as I'm concerned. Again, one-handed, slide that back in. Down here, massive table that comes out. You're probably wondering what these are for, these little cutouts. The idea behind these, keep one of your shopping bags when you go shopping, then you just pop the shopping bag holes into there, hangs down there, you've got yourself a bin. It's the little things like that that separate mitts from the rest. Now, it'll come as absolutely no surprise to you all that I'm running a Clearview drop-down fridge slide. Don't get too used to seeing this one, however, because there is something very exciting from Clearview just around the corner, and I'm pumped to put one in the back of the mitts canopy. Guys, if you are a bit altitudinally challenged like me, or maybe you've got a bigger four-wheel drive like one of the 79s, or even my Y62, which is really quite tall, grab yourself one of these. It makes getting into your fridge, I mean, check that out. Makes getting into your fridge so much easier. The other small, but bloody important addition, a fire extinguisher inside. If you remember, these got pulled out last year in the Cape to save a canopy, a good reminder to us and you guys at home to have them easy to access. For this build, I've added a Cap Industries extinguisher bracket, which bolts to the passenger seat and is custom made for a DMAX. The extinguisher is out of the way, but I know exactly where it is and can quickly reach over and grab it if I need to. Okay, so as far as the build-up is going, we're getting there. We've got most of the bells and whistles, but how does a brand new 2022 model DMAX drive? Jump in, I'll take you for a ride. I'm just finding this particular model of DMAX to be the most comfortable I've been in yet. And that's saying something because they are comfortable vehicles. Off-road, just lovely to drive. You never really feel too sketchy in these vehicles. It's got a fairly low centre of gravity. You've got to be aware of that, of course. It's an IFS vehicle. You already know that, so you drive to those conditions. But it just feels so nice off-road. I keep harking on about it, but this seat is just lovely when you're in these corrugated bouncy sections. You just stay put, you don't move around. It's just a nice vehicle to drive on road, which is what I've done the majority of the driving with in this. It has all the safety features and all the driving features you'd expect from a very high-end vehicle. Lane avoidance, all that kind of safety stuff, and it all works really, really well. A lot of people, when they first came out with all those things, didn't like it because there'd be bells going off, things buzzing and going on. None of that happens now. The vehicle is just a dream to drive. And like I say, off-road, it is, in my humble opinion, value for money wise, the best touring four-wheel drive on the market today. And I'm not just saying that. I really do believe you're going to go a long, long way in a DMAX before you'll start getting the same amount of value for your money in any other make or model out there. I really do enjoy driving this vehicle. Rightio, I reckon we are about 80% of the way through the build. There's still a few bits and pieces I've got to do. Haven't got any spotlights, little things like that, but we're getting there now. Massive plans for this vehicle next year. We're going to hit every state in Australia. Frothing hard? You bet I am. There's one thing right now though that is missing. This vehicle is way too clean. This is the Glasshouse Mountains. Let's go and get it dirty. Well, that is me brand new DMAX. Now, I'm not suggesting everyone takes their brand new DMAX to the Glasshouse Mountains for a shakedown run, and I almost shouldn't have. More to come on that because you'll be seeing it in an episode very soon. But let's just say this, the wheels nearly went up in the air. It was a real close moment. You'll see more of that coming up very soon. Now, where is Shauno at with the Dirty 30? We get asked this all the time. We're going to cross across to him right now and check out what he's up to. Also, he's got some really exciting news regarding the Dirty 30 and a massive, massive plan for next year.
Holy heck.
A few bits and pieces changed on us.
Few bits and pieces, look at it. We're a bit more than an oil change coming up here, isn't it? Yeah, wow, the whole, everything. Oh yeah, the bonnet was all flared up, it didn't fit, it was warped and carried on when they tried to weld it and graft it. Plus it was painted a different colour to the rest of the vehicle. So that always annoyed us, but that's the thing when, you know, I never asked Rube to take care of all this. It's just, I guess he takes so much pride in his work and he just goes, you know what, we need to make this right. So I am stoked, mate.
No, mate, it's awesome. I just, like, the bonnet was something that really used to irk me, but now, like, that finishes flush. It never finished flush over there before. And to get it to actually sit correctly here,
yeah,
with
it was
the guard.
all spaced up before, and the tips sort of flared up.
Yeah.
Well,
when you weld, like, as we know, that's why we have the roll bar in all our cars, because the heat transfer goes into the thicker steel. Where you weld something like that to a bonnet, everything just folds up like that. So we took a bit of bending and all that sort of stuff, but it's all back in line.
It's all back. It's all back. I can't wait. This is pretty amazing. This is the vehicle that just keeps evolving. It just, when you think it's done, we start again every single time. It's been in the build for a good 5 years now, and as you can see, it's still very much in the build, but the good news is once these guys at BMW work their magic on the vehicle, it's going to go back together better than ever. And best of all, they caught a lot of rust early in the piece, which has started coming through. It was basically due to poor preparation beforehand. They caught a lot of that, and not just cut the back off and redid the roll bar back end and the new ute chop. Didn't just do the bonnet, but in the doors, in the panels, in the roof sills, the gutters, there was evidence of rust coming through. So all that's been caught now. So,
yeah. So it should be right now to last you a very long time.
Well, I can't wait. Well, this is quite an exciting day because the 30's getting a new spray of paint, and not any old paint as well. We're using some of the best in the business. And for all those guys playing at home who constantly ask me, what is the paint code of the Dirty 30? Well, it's Toyota Beige. It's not Sandy Taupe. Sandy Taupe is a modern colour. 464, I think, is the exact paint code. That's what we're using today. And just to give you an idea what we're dealing with as well, this is a cut out from one of the doors. It shows how much rust was in that door. It's all obviously been cut out now and repaired. So as you can see, there was a lot of nasties hiding behind that paintwork, and while it looked quite nice on camera probably, you couldn't really see exactly how much rust was behind the old Dirty 30 body. So the boys have done an amazing job in the rust repairs and also the preparation to get it right to spray it. And trust me when I say this, when it's done, it's going to look absolutely amazing. Have a go with this. Oh wow.
That's nice, isn't it?
Just got to keep my hands inside my jumper, do not touch. That is so gorgeous. This might be the prettiest thing I've ever seen.
Nice and shiny and the one colour.
One colour, everything lines up beautifully. Oh, it's a thing of beauty. Well, this is truly amazing for so many reasons. Obviously now it's been sprayed. This will sit here overnight. All the doors and other bits will get sprayed. All the stone guard, everything like the flares. Then it'll all start getting put back together. We'll do a bit of trimming inside. Ruben's going to do the full works and jerks on this, just like he does with the 200. So all the sound deadening, the trimmer's going to come down and redo all the roof and everything like that. So it's going to look $1 million at the end of the day. I'm just so stoked. I'm a little bit quiet because I'm lost for words at the moment. Just to see it like this, it's just absolutely amazing. But next time you see this vehicle, it'll all be together. And if you think it looks good now, you just wait because it's going to look even better. Now, how good does it look? The Dirty 30 has never looked this good. With a brand new chop, a new paint job in Toyota Beige, I reckon it's as flash as a rat with a gold tooth. Does not get much better than this. But there's still a stack of work to go on the Dirty 30. And you guys playing along at home are probably thinking, what is next for the big Dirty 30? Well, next year, it's going to go to the US of A. So I'm very excited about that one. Now, I was fortunate enough to go over to the Overland Expo West earlier this year, and I saw some of the rigs that are getting around driving some of the big tracks over there, and let me just say, they are big rigs. I'm talking about 40-inch tyres, all that sort of jazz, and if you've seen some of the rock steps and some of the famous tracks like the Rubicon Trail, Moab, over in Utah, even some of the ones in Washington and Colorado, we've got some really, really big tracks for big trucks. Now, those guys drive them really well. They wheel some insane stuff over here, and I want to take the Dirty 30 over to tackle it with some of the best. So I've got a bit of work to do to get it ready. Now, I've got a couple of ideas in mind what I want to do. Just some basic stuff to make sure that I don't break down. I don't want that happening over there. I want a bit more stiffer sway bars and springs, just so it doesn't get so topsy-turvy on some of the big angles that I'm going to find in the States. Another thing is maybe reduction gears and getting it all ready so I can fit 37s. I'm not going to go any bigger than that. I don't think there's any need. I think even with the 37s, the Dirty 30 should be able to keep up with some of the best of them. But anyway, let us know in the comments what you reckon, because I'm a little bit out of my depth when we're talking about big trucks like that with 40-inch tyres. What do you think I should do to the Dirty 30 to get it ready for the US? Let us know in the comments below.
Well, that is some big news regarding the Dirty 30, getting on an old ship, going across the ocean to the States. I hope it's well behaved, because I don't take any of that kind of nonsense over there. It's also looking pretty flash with that brand new facelift. Now, speaking of facelifts, a bloke that really needs one, my good mate Jocko. Been putting a lot of love into both the Pony and his Sass Hilux. And I've got to say, both of those vehicles are looking absolutely smick. Let's go and have a look at them.
Righto, well, we're in the workshop and I thought I'd take you through Two of my Hiluxes, the Sass Luxy and the Pony. They've had a few changes since you last seen them, so I'll show them to you, but also keep in mind I've also got the N70 and the red Hilux as well. I think I've got a problem with Hiluxes. They're still a work in progress, so I'm not going to show you them right now, but make sure you keep an eye out on the channel for them coming up. Righto, let's hook in. Righto, so first up the front, she's got a new bull bar. After the last trip with Jesse up to Queensland where we hit up some tough tracks, the old bar, which I'd had on the vehicle for about 10 years, was pretty bent up and fed. It's also pretty rusted, so thought it was time to give her a little bit of a birthday. Now this is an N60 bull bar from Kinsella's Customs. I reckon it looks pretty tough. It's opened up a little bit more airflow as well, which I'm all about, keeping the big powerful 1KZ cool. So up the back here, obviously first up, we've got the tube guards. Now they were on the last trip, but tell you what, they were a good investment because I had some steel guards on there before and then some alloy ones. I just kept ruining them, so these are nice and strong. Also here you'll notice, got some under tray toolboxes. Now these are removable, so when I'm driving tough stuff, I actually take these off because I don't want to ruin them. Obviously they're low hanging, but it's real good for a little bit of extra storage when I'm driving around and stuff like that. I've got my tray sides back on. Now these are off the tray from the $1,000 Lux. I just cut them down and painted them black, but they're pretty ruined, so I'll probably have to change them because they don't really work that well anymore. The ladder rack's on at the moment just because I was carrying some stuff the other day, but it comes off with 4 bolts. So yeah, Luxy's just been driving around, having a good bit of fun, but next up, I think I want to tidy things up a little bit. The bar work, as you can see, is pretty scratched up and fed, so I reckon I'm going to pull it all off, the tray as well, sandblast it, and then give it a Raptor coat. And then after that, the next thing I want to do is probably look at sorting out a little bit of power because it's at 350,000 Ks now. She's getting a little bit on, and I thought it might be time to just give the pump and the turbo a bit of a freshen up, and then she should be good for plenty more wheeling. All right, I'll show you the pony. So first up, we chucked in some new suspensions. So I'm keen to bed in those new leaf springs on some tough tracks, but while I was under there, we also pulled the front housing out, and I took it down to the boys at Kinsella's Customs and they braced and straightened it. It's quite common on solid axle vehicles when you drive them pretty hard, you can actually bend the front housing a little bit. A way to tell is if you're replacing axle seals a lot and you know you're doing a good job of it and they just keep leaking, that's usually a sign that something isn't quite right. While I was doing that, I also threw in a TJM front Pro Locker just for a little bit more steering control. I've still got the auto locker in the back, which works great. Another thing we did is we chucked in a new winch. I haven't actually used it yet, but it's an ultra winch, so I'm keen to put that through its paces on the next trip. I have a feeling that's going to be getting an absolute workout. Also done a whole bunch of mechanical maintenance to the vehicle as well. Give it a little bit of love so it can go back out onto the tracks fighting fit, and it'll need to be because it's going to be versing Daryl on the next episode. And up the back in the canopy, she's got a whole bunch of big red camp lights, and I even chucked in a new projected 12-volt system as well. So she's going to be a little bit of a rig. I'm pretty keen to get it out in the bush and see how things are going. You can probably tell a lot of work has happened to the pony over the last couple of months, so keep an eye out on YouTube because coming up very soon, she'll be going head-to-head with Daryl and Jesse once more to see who comes out on top. Jesse kind of showed me up a little bit in Queensland in the Sass Luxy. I thought it was time to bring out the mighty pony to show him how it's done. Keep an eye out for that, and Jesse, if you're watching this, mate, you're in trouble. Cheers, guys.
Well, Jocko's one of those blokes, I reckon he gets just as much enjoyment out of spin and spanners as he does spin and wheels, and boy, can he do both well. Speaking of which, last but certainly not least, Jesse. Now, when Jesse's not helping Shauno build trucks in his shed, he's building his own, he's racing his own, and he is frothing on everything that has got 4 wheels. Plus, he's also got a bit of a secret he's going to share with us right now. Over to you, mate.
Well guys, welcome to my brand new shed. What do you reckon? The fit out's nearly done. I've still got a hoist and a couple of tools and workbenches going over here, but that was the first car to be in the shed. You're going to see a lot more of this shed next year. There's going to be some cool cars getting built in here and coming out of here and going on the tracks. But Daryl for now, why is he the first car in my shed? Well, as you know, he used to live at Sean's house, surrounded by Toyotas, and he just wasn't getting the love he needed. No one in the 4Drive 24/7 team really loves him as much as I do, so I've brought him back to the Nissan headquarters and I'm slowly chipping away on the jobs that need to be done. I actually took him away with the boys a couple of weeks ago when we did the trip up Glasshouse, and as usual, he showed everyone up. Daryl's the underdog, and his budget built, cheap car, but he really gets the job done, so I'm giving him the TLC he really deserves. I think he's kicking goals, really. So under the bonnet, I've actually done a few new mods. I've put electronic ignition system in him, so I've got rid of the points in the condenser. There'll be no more breaking down on the side of the track. He actually revs idles, runs smoothly. He actually only stalled once on the last trip, and I think that was on the bonus line of Big Red. Really steep, carby, so I'll give him that one. I'm actually just gonna slowly go through him and fix everything up so it's a bit more reliable, and the boys let me take him on a few more trips. Well, that's enough about Daryl. I'm just gonna slowly keep ticking jobs off the list of Daryl and hopefully get to see a fair bit of him next year out on the tracks. I can't actually fit any more cars in the shed at the moment, so let's go and have a look at my other cars and I'll tell you what I got planned for next year. Well, this is my GQ wagon. I call it the Junker. It's actually my daily drive at the moment. It's a bit rough around the edges, but it gets the job done. This car's pretty much built out of spare parts in my last 3 or 4 patrols. This bull bar actually built for the first patrol ute I ever had. It's been in every car since then, and the hole in the front just keeps getting bigger as the winch gets bigger. It's actually going down to Vic next week. I'm going for a drive down there with Jock. Jock thinks I'm taking Daryl, but I haven't told him yet. Last time he took his SAS Lux and I was in Daryl, so he's taking Pony this time, so I'm going to show up in this, and I don't think he's going to be happy about it, but have fun keeping up, Jocko. Well, this is a project car I bought a fair while ago. I actually bought it that long ago. If you guys remember when I put a locker in Daryl, it was actually the locker that come with this. So the GU diff and locker that's in Daryl was out of this car. So that tells you how long I've had it for, living on hopes and dreams. But next year is the year I'm finally going to start the build. It's going to be a big build. My first part of the build, I'm actually going to lift the cab off the chassis and start from the chassis up, full paint, full strip, and just build it up from there. The old ZD30 is cactus. So all you guys know I love my petrols, but I'm actually gonna do something different this time. I'm going a diesel. So what do you guys reckon I'm gonna do? What sort of diesel? Maybe put in the comments if you can guess what I'm gonna put in here, because it's something cool and something not many people have done. So hopefully it pays off. So keep your eyes peeled on the channel early next year when we start this build. I'm actually pretty excited to be building a bit of a tough tourer, get another Nissan out in the tracks and see if I can show up some of these Toyotas, because Jocko and Jocko reckon that they're the best thing out, and I don't agree with them.
Well, Jesse, what an absolute tease, mate. I've heard a few whispers getting around as to what you're up to. And folks, let me just say this, it's only been done in Australia maybe 1 or 2 times before. You're gonna wanna stay tuned for that. Folks, as you can see, plenty going on. Even though we are reaching the end of the year, it doesn't slow down for us. What I want you guys to do, in the comments down below, let us know which 4-wheel drive you are frothing to see out on the tracks. Now, while you're at it, do me a favour, would you? Would you like and subscribe as well? I mean, it does you a favour. You know exactly what we're up to, but it also means the world to us. As for me, one last stop. I'm going to the Bottle-O, got to pick up some beers, and then I am off grid for the next 5 days. Catch you soon.